Yellowstone fans have two theories about Spencer Dutton's 1923 final ending, and they'd both change Kevin Costner's show. There are two different ways to interpret Spencer Dutton's, Brandon Sklinner, ending in 1923's finale, and either perspective has a massive impact on Kevin Costner's Yellowstone show. Spencer finally made it to Montana at the end of 1923 Season 2. Fending off Banner Creighton's, Jerome Flynn met at the train station in Livingston and the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. Spencer was a crucial element in helping his aunt and uncle, Kara, Helen Mirren, and Jacob Dutton, Harrison Ford, win the war against Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, with Spencer killing Whitfield in 1923's finale. Still, Spencer suffered a tragedy in 1923 Season 2's finale, with his wife, Alexandra of Sussex, succumbing to complications of hypothermia after an extended amount of time in the cold. Her death marks a grave loss for the family amid their Prohibition-era struggle, but Alexa's fate isn't the only death we witness. Spencer Dutton's time jump in 1923 Season 2's finale sees the war hero collapse on his wife's grave, dying 45 years later. After the finale, it was clear that viewers interpreted Spencer Dutton's ending differently, and each perspective has compelling ramifications. After Alex Dutton's fate in 1923 Season 2's finale, the episode jumps decades into the future, showing Spencer Dutton's death in 1969. Spencer's sister and 1923's narrator, Elsa Dutton, Isabel May, explains that Spencer survived almost half a century after the family's war. Still, he never forgot his soulmate. Elsa tells us that Spencer was intimate with a widow after losing his partner, having another son with her, but never committing to a life with her. Elsa reveals Spencer, therefore, had 2 children. Before Alex's death, Alex and Spencer had a son, John Dutton, so Spencer's bloodline continued after 1923. Many believe that Spencer was John Dutton II's father after the events of 1923 Season 2, since he and Alex named their son John. John Dutton II, played by Dabney Coleman in Yellowstone Season 2, is John Dutton II's father. As the parent of Coleman's John Dutton II, Spencer would be the grandfather of Kevin Costner's character, John Dutton II. In Yellowstone Season 4, John tells Jimmy Herdstrom, Jefferson White, that his grandfather lost a leg. Therefore, if Spencer is John Dutton II's grandfather, the war hero loses a leg sometime between 1923 Season 2's finale and his death. Some viewers believe that 1923's closing scene confirms that Spencer was John Dutton II's grandfather. When he walks to Alexandra's grave, Spencer drags his legs, walking with a slight limp. Many viewers point to this detail as confirmation that Spencer is John's direct ancestor, with the impairment suggesting he is walking with a prosthetic leg. Other viewers saw the final scene and felt there was no way that Spencer could be John Dutton II's grandfather. They saw Spencer walking relatively normally for an 80-year-old man, and suggested the scene confirmed Spencer had both his legs intact at his death. The ending 1923 scene is worth scrutinizing because Spencer Dutton's fate has massive ramifications for Yellowstone's story, impacting John Dutton II's place in the Dutton family tree. If Spencer indeed walks with a prosthetic in 1923 Season 2's finale, that means he lost a leg in the 45 years that passed, and that he is the link to Kevin Costner's John Dutton II. This would confirm that Taylor Sheridan broke the Dutton family tree in 1923 Season 2's finale. Spencer is a second-generation Dutton, so being the father of fourth-generation John Dutton II doesn't quite add up. Conversely, if Spencer walks with both legs, confirming that he didn't lose a limb, then he isn't John Dutton II's grandfather, and the mystery of how Costner's character links to his ancestors continues. If Spencer doesn't lose a leg, Then perhaps he and Alex's son lost a leg in World War II at 20 years old and fathered another descendant named John Dutton. Spencer's not being John Dutton II's father could also mean that Costner's character's father is the child of Jack Dutton, Darren Mann, and Elizabeth Strafford, Michelle Randolph. Sheridan's next Yellowstone story, 1944, will likely confirm Spencer's status. 1944 is set to be 1923 Season 2's follow-up, taking place 20 years after the events of the family's war against Banner Creighton, picking up amid World War II. It's entirely possible that Spencer would return to the front lines, a seasoned war hero from the first major international conflict. If Spencer's war story parallels life on the ranch in 1944, then we could witness him lose a leg, confirming once and for all the link between John Dutton IA and his ancestors. We could also witness Spencer's son incurring the injury, similarly solving the mystery that orbited 1923's events. Yellowstone fans are no strangers to wild theories, but the finale of 1923 Season 1 has ignited a fresh wave of speculation that could reshape the entire Dutton legacy as we know it in Kevin Costner's Yellowstone. The character at the center of it all, Spencer Dutton, the brooding, battle-scarred hero of the 1923 spin-off. As the final episode left Spencer stranded, separated from his beloved Alexandra, and still thousands of miles from Montana, fans couldn't help but wonder, what really becomes of Spencer? And does his fate rewrite Yellowstone's family tree? Two major fan theories have emerged, and if either is true, the very foundation of John Dutton's legacy could be built on a lie, a secret, or a lost chapter. Theory 1. Spencer is actually John Dutton II's father, and Yellowstone hid it. Let's start with the juiciest theory. Spencer Dutton is the true father of John Dutton II, Kevin Costner's character's father, making Spencer the grandfather of John Dutton II. But hold on, Yellowstone never mentions Spencer, right? That's precisely what fans find suspicious. Spencer Dutton, the younger brother of John Dutton Sr., played by James Badge Dale, is shown in 1923 as a rugged, haunted war veteran with a deeply romantic arc alongside Alexandra. Yet when Yellowstone flashes back to the family's lineage, it only names John Sr., then John II, then Kevin Costner's John II. Spencer's name is conspicuously absent. The theory goes that Spencer eventually does return to Montana, broken, perhaps, or changed by tragedy. Maybe John Sr. dies before Spencer's return, as already seen in 1923. And Spencer quietly assumes the role of patriarch out of duty, not pride. He raises a son, John Dutton II, who takes the name of his uncle in tribute. In this version, Spencer becomes a ghost in the family history, a man whose sacrifices were buried with him, literally and figuratively. This theory would drastically shift the emotional core of Yellowstone. If true, Kevin Costner's John Dutton has unknowingly inherited land, trauma, and tradition from a grandfather erased from the record. Not out of shame, but perhaps to protect the family, or because Spencer never sought the spotlight. It also reframes Spencer's journey in 1923 as far more than a romantic quest. It becomes an odyssey to reclaim not just love, but legacy. Theory 2. Spencer never returns, and that's why the Duttons are so guarded. The second major theory takes a darker, more tragic turn, and it's equally powerful. In this version, Spencer never makes it back to Montana. Whether he dies en route, is killed in a foreign land, or chooses to stay away for Alexandra's safety, the result is the same. He's the great what-if of the Dutton saga. Fans supporting this theory point out the heartbreaking tone of Spencer's last scenes in 1923, separated from his wife, uncertain of his path home, haunted by war and loss. There's a Shakespearean fatalism to it all, and it echoes something that Yellowstone has hammered home repeatedly. The Duttons are shaped by trauma, loss, and an almost pathological need to hold on to what remains. If Spencer dies far from home, it would explain the almost mythic stoicism of later generations. Perhaps John Dutton Sr. is forced to raise the next generation without his brother. Maybe the family vows never to speak of Spencer again, his disappearance a source of shame or pain too deep to revisit. This theory changes Yellowstone in a more psychological way. It paints the Duttons not just as landowners, but as survivors, clinging to their ranch not out of greed, but because it's the last tangible piece of those they've lost. Kevin Costner's John Dutton becomes not just a stubborn patriarch, but a man trying to honor ghosts he barely understands. Why either theory changes everything. No matter which theory you subscribe to, one thing is clear. Spencer Dutton's story is more than a side quest. It's potentially the emotional and historical bridge between the pioneering world of 1883 and the modern-day battles of Yellowstone. If Spencer is John Dutton II's father, then everything John I.A. believes about his lineage is built on a legacy of hidden sacrifice. If Spencer dies before returning, his absence becomes the silent weight on every Dutton's shoulders. The reason John I.I. is so fiercely protective, so wary of outsiders, so driven to hold the land at all costs.